What's happening, everybody? Hope you're all having a great evening, great weekend. Obviously, it's coming up to Sunday now. So, yeah, people back to work tomorrow, but hopefully you've all enjoyed the weekend. For what I'm going to say right now, I'm a bit disappointed. I'm still coming down from a disappointment loss to Ipswich at home. I'll be honest, like I said in the previous show, I knew it was going to be one of them games that was gonna be hard for us. I just had a feeling about it wasn't gonna be great, but to lose 4-1 at home, to like the way we did is just, and how we've been playing all season, it's been a bit of a tipsy topsy type of season at the moment, where once we get good form, it's kind of like last season. We had 6 games unbeaten, great games, and then we've dropped down again to bad form. And what do I think it's down to? Bad tactics on the day against certain teams. I think Kieran McKenna went in there with a game plan, and the game plan was successful. He saw where our weakness was, even before we went on that pitch. I don't know, I can't sit here and say if changes were made beforehand, but the fact is, our game plan was really bad on the day. Listen, look, we came back on the first half, we did, to equalise 1-1, but yeah, just after that, it was just a complete shambles. It felt like a bit like the Watford away game, it did, so, you know, but I'm kind of glad that I expected us to lose, if that makes sense. I know it's bad to say as a QPR fan, but going into that game against an Ipswich side, which Kieran McKenna is one of their managers that, you know, has still got a lot to prove, but he has a lot of talent. He reminds me a bit of Edwards, he does at Middlesbrough, where he can tactically adapt himself, but there's times where he makes the wrong decisions like any manager. But yeah, it's one of them things where we got to go get over it and get to the next game and go from there. But yeah. Let's go to comments. Foley, hey DB, how are you? I'm good, man. Apart from obviously terrible result yesterday. Hopefully you're okay. Ryan says, evening mate, how are you? Yeah, like I'm just a bit annoyed at the moment with QPR. So yeah, Foley says, it was shocking, that result. Team selection was bad. All QPR FC fans are saying the same. Ryan says, I understand Ipswich aren't an easy side to play, but come on, we have to be doing a lot better. Foley says, Sato and Benge should have started. Cook needs to be dropped, and GL Nardi could have done better on 2 of the goals. We'll go into that. We will go into some of them, what you've said in the comments, you lot. But the thing what I was saying now is Twitter went mad about certain things. As I was looking at yesterday about Nardi and certain things. Now, I'm not going to defend Nardi because, yeah, 2 of the goals, it should have been better than it should have. But like I keep repeating myself, a goalkeeper is only good as his defence, you know? And the reason why I point it out as Watford, this reminds me of Watford, is this. They have a tall striker. They do. Ipswich, a tall striker. And, you know, when we play, you know, in my opinion, the only bad players was Escudina, Cook, Morrison. Apparently Madsen didn't have a great game. Yeah, he was quiet, but I don't think he was a problem whatsoever. Isaac Hayden did good. I kind of think Harvey Vale may have been a bit bad on the day. The Coney and Burrell, and obviously I just think it was just all the front line. It was all the shambles. It was. But my thing that I would say the disappointing parts is Cook, Morrison, and Escudina. Escudina really pissed me off, really bad, because, okay, I can understand, you know, you're young. The first time, like, the first thing that happens is the goal where you get done on the left-hand side like that, from pace. Cool. We got it back. We got the goal back. But the problem is when an idiot wants to take a shot from 35 yards just because he wants to, is ridiculous. You know, what was the point of that? I don't get what Escudina's point was in that, but you could see all that team that I just don't think they're happy with Escudina. I really don't, because every time Escudina plays, the it's just not great. You know, the performances are not great. You know, I get he's young, but there must be something that in the club that's going on, you know, because they clearly ain't communicating with Escudina, none of the players, and then none of them are telling them, all right, you've done something wrong here, fix it up. Steve Cook's meant to be, in my opinion, mentoring him, you know, to help him defend. No one's helping the kid whatsoever in that left back position, and I'm not defending him, but at the end of the day, he's got to be doing better if he's playing in the Championship. And two, it's just a shambles where you have senior players that are not doing their job. You know, Cook's been promoted with Bournemouth, with Nottingham Forest, and he's putting. I get he's had an injury, a bad injury apparently, and he's not doing great, but he's got to be doing way better than that, honestly, you know. And Morrison, I just don't think them two can work together. It's a shambles. Like, what I would have done when that first goal went in, what he should have done is rotated everything, right? He should have put Jimmy Dunn in the middle and put 3 at the back and pushed Escudina into midfield and gone from there. Because it's clear to me that the only tall player we have that could have probably saved us with them headers from that player is Jimmy Dunn. Steve Cook can't jump. Liam Morrison can't jump. We all know that. So, yeah, we need a bit more height in defence, we do, I think. And that's something I'm guessing needs to be sorted out in January. Because people are now starting to realise, or so I should say teams, are starting to realise how bad we are when on that left-hand side of Escudina, and when that ball gets whipped in, if you have a tall player in that box, you're going to score, I reckon, now, because none of our back two can't jump to even clear the ball. You know, they're getting outbeaten by players. So that's where I see where the problem is right now, is where we can't defend wing play shit. When Kieran McKenna, McKenna, the coach, he clearly has gone in there. I've never noticed him playing wing play football, but yesterday he did it. So, you know, Watford did it against us, you know. So, yeah, I'm just a bit shocked about it, to be honest, where once that first goal went in, we should have changed it straight away, because Escudina was appalling yesterday. And I get he's a kid, like I keep saying, but, you know, I'm not just putting the blame on him. I'm putting it on Cook and Morrison as well, because defence-wise, and, sorry, Stefan as well. It needs to be improved, honestly, before Wednesday, because if we go into that game and he's still playing Cook with Morrison and Kone and Burrell or whatever it is, it needs to be learnt, because I don't think Nardi is the problem. I still don't think Nardi is the problem. And people can hate me and say that. Nardi is not the problem. I'm telling you right now. Yes, cool. 2 free kicks went in, right? The first free kick, all right, cool. You know, it was a great strike. Maybe could have got to it if it was in a better position. The second free kick, it took a deflection off of the box. So, yeah, I can't really say much on the second free kick. But the first free kick, okay, he could have been in a better position. But I still think he's better than Joe Walsh at the time. Until Joe Walsh comes in and shows what he was doing for the past season when he came on, you know, I still think we need to get Cooper back. That's what I want. I want Cooper back at QPR right now. In January, we need to call back Cooper and try him. Cooper Murphy is someone that everyone is talking about at the moment in that league that he's playing in, and outstanding. So, yeah, I want to see Cooper Murphy come back and see what he can do, because, you know, I just still think we sent the wrong goalkeeper out on loan, I think. You know, I like Walsh, but Walsh still needs to learn. I don't think, you know, I think Cooper Murphy is the only one that I can see right now. Is if he's going to replace Nardi, it's him. It's going to be him. Yeah. That's one thing maybe we need to look into. But like I said, Nardi is not the problem. I'll say this right now. Nardi is not the problem. Our defense is the problem. So I will put this right now and say this right now. Cook cannot play with Morrison. It needs to be Mbenge and Morrison. Or try, I would say put Davis in centre back, but I don't know how that's going to be because Davis has been disappointing in the last couple of games as well, you know? So yeah, let me look at the comments again because obviously a lot of you have been commenting crazy. Ryan says, we all feeling the doom and gloom on this one. I'm hoping Stefan makes the right changes, and if it plays well, then stick with it, and instead of making multiple changes week in, week out. But that's the problem. He's not making multiple changes week in, week out. He's playing the same team week in and week out. But this is what I'm saying, is that in a league like this, you need to rotate your team because of certain aspects of what a team on the opposition team is going to play, you know? Like I said, Cook and Morrison cannot play if you're allowing goals from wings to cross in. You know, if there's a 6'5" player in that forward line for the opposition team, Morrison and Cook cannot be at the back. It needs to be Jimmy Dunn and Morrison, or Jimmy Dunn and Cook, or Jimmy Dunn and someone, and Mbenge. You know, it's because my thing is, Mbenge is probably the smallest out of all of them, and he still wins headers. You know, he still beats these 6-foot players and outstrengths these players and all that. Like, I don't get it. It's really confusing. But Mbenge's got to be playing week in and week out. That's one thing I will say. Week in and week out, Mbenge. Okay, Davis has to play left back unless you're gonna put Steve Cook left back or someone else. You know. Cody says, yeah, I agree, but that's an open play, DB. I was talking about the set piece and first. Yeah, like I said, the first the cross one in the second half, maybe I can see what you mean, you know, but defense wise, it has to be defense, honestly. You know, I know when goals go in, we're going to blame the keeper constantly, you know, it's going to happen, but it's something we need to stop, just keep blaming keepers, you know, it's a whole of defense. You know, that's what I'm saying. I'm not defending Nardi, right? But I will say defensive-wise is really bad. So, yeah. Foley says Cook just ball watches. I think Morrison was ball watching as well yesterday as well. I'm not going to lie. Foley, Mbenge did have a little pull on that short on that short on QFC penalties. Don't know if anyone noticed he held his leg after the pen. Maybe that's why he didn't start. The pen? What do you mean? When I know, was this a couple of weeks ago, or Escalina, Ryan says Escalina can't start on Wednesday. I'll put a hole in my wall if he does. If he does play on Wednesday, I'll be very, very surprised. I will say that. Foley, Southampton next, and Ronnie Edwards. If Ronnie Edwards playing, hopefully he can just give us an own goal or something. Foley says, right, Reese, me too. AB, Cooper has been quality for Barnsley. He really has, honestly. You know, I might have to put more videos on YouTube that I am focusing on our loan players, because I have been, and some of our loan players are really doing well. So yeah, that's one positive thing coming out of QPR, is young talent at the moment is really good. Yeah, Foley, and just our luck that we will have a blinder of a game. If we have a blinder of a game on a Wednesday, we best have a blinder of a game, because my birthday's on Tuesday night. So Wednesday night best be a fucking present for me, mate. Honestly, I'm telling you that. Foley says, never even seen Murphy play. I'll check out some ball. You should, honestly. His reaction time is really good. If you listen, Murphy reminds me of Lee Camp. That's all I need to say. Lee Camp, everyone knows Lee Camp. Everyone knows how quality Lee Camp is. End of. That's it. That's who he reminds me of. He has a fast reaction to get up. Maybe Julian Speroni at times, but yeah, that's how good I think Cooper is. So yeah. Wham says Ipswich was a bad game. I think we need to have a faith But I do think you are right, DB. Julian doesn't seem to adapt to who he is playing. That's what I mean. Like, it's shocking. Look, I'm not going to criticize. I will criticize Julian at times, but he's a coach. He's the head coach. He makes the decisions. Us fans, all we could do is scream and yell and say, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, kind of stuff like that. But my thing is this. You know, if you're not acknowledging something to prevent defending, I'm gonna say it. You know, I have one coaching badge. One coaching badge. I don't think you need coaching badges to understand football and what needs to be done. You know, e.g. Dorking manager, brilliant coach, I would say. But yeah, I would say if you're watching that game full on, not just highlights, full on, you'll know what you're seeing at the end of the day as a fan, you know? So yeah. Rice says, hope so. Foley on QBR channel on their short vids. QBR put out a YouTube short about penalties and looked like a mega. Oh, what, in training session? I didn't see that. Wham says, happy birthday. Cheers, man. I appreciate it, man. It's not till Tuesday, but fingers crossed Wednesday's a good day for us. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that what I was saying right now, that's the problem right now at QPR in that game was shit defending, you know. Now, going on to midfield, I'm not going to criticize our midfield because our midfield did okay, I guess. But the whole forward line needs to be talked about right now because Burrell and Kone are both great strikers and not centre forwards, right? Burrell might do well. Oh, fucker, that's a sponge. You can't touch a sponge. Sorry, the dog's fucking biting sponges. Yeah, so forward line, Kone can't play centre forward. Burrell possibly can, but Kone needs to play up front. End of story. Otherwise, you ain't going to get goals from Kone. That's it. Burrell, I think, great striker. Very good play on the weekend. Being in the right place at the right time. He's been doing it all season. You know, great pace on him. So, not gonna fault him. Chair, I'm not gonna disgrace Chair, but Chair on the left, he did okay, but I still think he needs to play in the middle. Harveyville on the right, he seems quiet, too quiet on that right side. Yeah, cool, he's delivered crosses in and got assists for us and all of that, but I still think Vale should either play on the left or in the middle, you know, just because of how he plays. And he did say at the start of the season he sees Harvey Vale as a number 8 or a number 10, not a bloody number 7 or a bloody 14 or a 23 or whatever, you know. I still don't understand why he would say that, and yeah, so going from there, I just feel like Kone needs to play up front on his own with Burrell behind him or on the left, put Chair in the middle, something like that. But that's what needs to happen. They need to understand when they go into a game who they need to play in the right places. Escudina cannot play for a while now, I don't think. He needs to adapt, you know. I don't think Escudina's ready. So yeah, but that's everything that I've seen. You know, I can't fault the midfield because the midfield did all right. The changes, when he made some changes, Poku, obviously wasn't amazing, but you could see a glimpse of him, what we're going to expect to see. Bray came on, pretty much was quiet. Obviously he didn't come on till late. Sato looked a lot better in the middle than on the wing. So yeah, there's a lot of positives, but more negatives, I would say. Rises, I don't think we can play both Burrell and Kone, one or the other. For now, I'd say. Foley says Kone lost a bit of his form. He did have chances. Yeah, he did. He had a very good chance in the first half, which obviously led to the goal. AB says, I like to see Vale play in that 10 role. I feel like he's a bit too slow to be on the wing. Depending on how he wants his wingers to play, I don't think he cares about the pace. I think he wants our attackers to be more creative than like running into the box type of thing, like what Sato and Dembele does and stuff like that. Foley says Burrell for me has kept his form. Chair does his same thing every game. cut in on his right and shoots. Other teams know what he's going to do. Most teams know what he's going to do, Foley. I will say that. I will agree. Most teams do know. But the likely chances are, if he gets a 1-2 and a cracking shot on goal, he's usually on point. So yeah, first says Vale has scored, so that is a possibility. Yeah, about Vale. Wham says, do you think Julian changes things early enough, or is he a bit later with changes? I think Julian should have made the early decision at half time in that game. I knew going straight into that second goal, the sub should have happened straight away, in my opinion. When that second goal went in, he should have taken Cook off for Mbenge, and Escudina for Davis, and I would say either Kone or Burrell for Frey. I would probably say Kone, obviously, because obviously Frey I don't think can play with Kone, but yeah. Going on to not match ratings. Let's have a look here. So the match ratings are really bad, I'm not gonna lie. So the subs of Poku, Davis, Soito, Frey, and obviously Mbenge came on at 78th minute. I think Frey came on 68. Cool, I was wrong about that. Paul Smith, I reckon, would have been best and in that game for us on the wing for pace. So yeah. If I look, so the difference between Ipswich in previous championship games to yesterday is the possession sticked by, but the difference was their momentum was a lot better than any other game that they've played this season. You know, their match momentum was crazy, but our expected goals were higher than theirs. So obviously all their goals came pretty much from 2 free kicks on wing play, but their match momentum was crazy. They were constantly attacking pretty much all the time. You know, they were second half and first half was even for them. Ooh, sorry people, but yeah, I would say there's so much improvement that needs to happen with defending wise more than attacking wise at the moment, and decision wise of who's going to play at the right time, because you can't listen. Look, in my opinion, you shouldn't be playing the same team constantly. You know, adapting changes need to be made with the opponent you play. And if our analyst is brilliantly, he would agree with me right now and say, okay, cool, maybe we should have put Jimmy Dunn in the middle to hold off their striker Hurst, because Hurst kept winning that header, So, you know, and Walton, the goalkeeper for Ipswich, wasn't great. You know, there was a weakness there. But I also think Kipri was amazing. Honestly, I think Kipri was solid at the back. Kipri looked great for Ipswich, so I'll positives on that, you know. But again, you know, 2 great free kicks finish us off. I believe it was the free kicks, Morley. So yeah. Table wise, we're sitting 13th, just above Leicester, with -5 goals again. So we gotta kind of get back on track with the wins, you know, with Southampton, and obviously I think Sheffield United on the weekend as well. So we need to get back up to the top 10. That's more priority than focusing on playoffs. So top 10 is a must for me right now. But this year, obviously, it's early days. I'm not going to sit here and say sack the bloody manager, because I still think he is a great manager for us. But improvements and different things need to be done, I would say, before Wednesday night. So yeah. What other comments have come in? Foley says a lot of champ managers choose to start around 70 minutes. It started nowadays. I think it's more majority because of the 5 subs. If they have 5 subs, they don't really need to think about rushing which players need to come on. So yeah, Foley, Nunes and Hurst played well, to be not an excuse, but they are good players. I didn't even know about Nunes that much, and you know, he looked good. You know, I think for me, Kipri was the best on the field, defensive wise, to do what he's done. It has been really good yesterday. So Kipri, I would give him man of the match, not Hurst, even though he did score 2 goals. So yeah. Foley says, as long as we finish above Leicester, I'll be happy. Yeah, depending on, let's correct this, right? If Leicester finish 24th and we finish 23rd, you're still not going to be happy. So put that in better perspective. So yeah, Foley, yeah, is going nowhere. We have a couple of lot more. Yeah, JS is going nowhere. Listen, look, I think Julian, every manager makes mistakes, and every fan is gonna have the heart and the love for the club and have a whinge, have a moan on social media, you know. But it's passion, and it's what is great about football, you know. And if someone's going to sit there and say, oh, you're talking shit, you know, all of that, cool. I'm entitled to my opinion. I am. For what I see on the pitch and how I would defend it. That's how I'm going by, you know. But that's it. You know, Julian, in my opinion, needs to not be sacked. Let's get sacking out of the way. You know, 7-1 Coventry, 4-1 Ipswich. Results are not going to go our way always. But Julian is doing a better job than any other manager we have. And I can't think of any other manager right now that we're going to bring in better than Julian. You know? So Julian, for me, is our best keeper, best manager, coach that we have right now. So that's one thing that we need to not even risk losing. Let's just try to stay positive for the manager, you know, and hopefully his changes get better. You know, he's still adapting into the Championship, for crying out loud. You know, he's come from the French league. He has, you know, he spoke with the Sunderland manager about everything in the Championship. So yeah, I think Julian is something that we need to be patient with. As long as he's not putting us like Mai Fuentes and Gareth Ainsworth down in the bottom, then, you know, as long as we're top 10, it's a positive for me. And I know for me, as I agree with everyone that says about QPR, a London club should be in the top division because we're in London. I agree with that. You know, it should attract better players and it should attract better quality, but let's not get over our heads. We're working with a budget, and you know, the Championship is getting more experience by the season. You know, when you get certain teams go up into the Premier League and get relegated straight away, their quality of player wise is improving because of the players that they're bringing in in the Premiership when they go up. So we got to look at the Championship. It's getting more and more and more noticeable because of the quality in the league now. You know, Coventry City, for example, you know, they've had one bad game at the moment against Wrexham. You know, everyone would say, all right, Wrexham and Birmingham should be up there, you know, but spending money is not always the best thing. If you think about our seasons, whenever we spent, the only times we spent stupid money have got us in the relegation zone, you know. So, in my opinion, it's all about having the best coach and the right coach that can work with the budget and do the right thing with the players that he has, you know. So, in my opinion, the Championship is going to be harder and harder each season, you know. And as long as we can get points on the board and stay top 10 until eventually we're ready, then cool. I'm not saying 10 years, 20 years, but in the next, like I said, there's a 5-year project from last year, it was. So we got 3 more seasons to see where we go. If we keep our faith in Julian, you know, wait to see, like I said, a manager shouldn't be sacked till at least before the new year, you know, to see how he does. So yeah, put in your comments below what you think of the game, result wise, what needs to happen on Wednesday. But we'll put a question in there. Do we think Esquidina deserves to play on Wednesday? We'll put that there. We'll leave it there. That's the question of the day. And put your answer in the comments below after the video. Does Esquidina deserve to play Wednesday? Obviously, it's a bit of a stupid question, but I would say no. He's got to be dropped. And do you know what? Forget about Esquidina. Let's put Steve Cook. Do we think Steve Cook is fit enough or good enough to play for us on Wednesday night? It sounds horrible. It really does. I really hate doing that stuff, but yeah, it's a good interaction with you guys, I guess. So yeah, What we got in the comments? I think you talk a lot of sense, Stevie. Julian is doing well. Cheers, Wham. I appreciate it. Championship is the best league for any team capable of beating anyone else. Absolutely not. It says, listen, look, Championship is in my opinion one of the best leagues in the world. You know, as a fan of QPR for a long time, and obviously and for me, I've only experienced 2 promotions for QPR in the Premier League. So yeah, I would say 100% Championship is always has a weakness for me. You know, it's a great place to pick up a good bargain. It's a good place to bring up a youngster, and it's a good time to play a youngster if you want them to develop. For me right now, I honestly thought Emerson Sutton would have been the Eze of this season, you know, but we've sent him out on loan. So yeah, it's one of them things. But we have too much quality on wingers. I wouldn't be surprised if someone goes out on loan in January just to bring in a bit of money, to bring in maybe Ronnie Edwards on loan again and going from there. So yeah, what else? I think we need to give Escudina more time in the development squad. He has a lot of potential. Agreed, West 12. He says, I agree with you. Escudina has a lot of potential, but then it goes down to role models. He needs a role model in that club because, for what I'm hearing, he focuses a lot on social media. So yeah, it's not a good sign. He's very young. He's from Brazil. Apart from that, for what I'm seeing, he has great potential, but a lot of work needs to be done for him to be in that first team on the bench. So yeah, we need to put him in development squad. He's not ready. I think we need to look at someone else at left back, because Davis can't always do it. In my point of view, if we're going to put anyone left back right now, I would say Harvey Vale. You know, I think Harvey Vale needs to go left back. He's the only one that has had the experience in the Championship and League One of left back and understands what the role needs to be done. We need to put Chair in number 10 in a free role position in what he's best at. We need to put Poku and try Dembele on the left, or Sato, one of them things. But first things first, choose between Kone, Burrell, or Frey to play up front on their own, and either decide to put Burrell on the right or the left wing or behind, you know, because I believe Burrell deserves to be on that pitch every week like Mbenge. That's my own opinion, because he's proved me wrong, and it's very rare that I say that. And I think Burrell is going to be a great striker for us, 100%. So yeah. Wham says, I remember age 10 standing at QPR in 1985 watching the greatest player I've ever seen. I'll be honest, I don't know who that is. I'm not sure. I don't know who Sir Simon Steinrod is. I know that's bad to say as well. So yeah. Only experienced the good of old Bobby Zamora promotion and was lucky enough to be there. So it was nice. I wasn't there, unfortunately. I was working. I was watching it before work, and it was a crazy day. I was there in the Neil Warnock season. I was, and yeah, that was an emotional season for me. This is the first time I would say I've cried over a club where I experienced QPR do what they do in an incredible way. I think when we had Warnock come in the season when he came in half of the season before that, I always said Neil Warnock was the one that was going to be the best for us in QPR, and he was. That first game when we were against West Brom, when we beat them 4-1 at home, that showed everyone what we were missing 100%. And one of the players that I thought would have kicked us off as well and would have stayed with us was Akos Bazaki, one of my favourite players. So yeah, but apart from that, we killed the Neil Warnock season. We killed it, you know, and it was one of them lucky things where Watford beat us at home to end our run. So, you know, and then when you get hated a lot as a club, you do get a lot of people going about charges and shit like that, and that's when the Alejandro Fallen stuff came in, and then we did it that way. So yeah, I think his tactic with Taarabt was brilliant. I think what he explained was that if anyone goes into if the Taarabt went into our own half, he would get fined. If anyone get past him the ball in our half, will get fined as well. I thought that was brilliant. So yeah, and I can name so many players that have been brilliant for us. You know, Freeman, I was a bit shocked that he left. You know, there's so many players that have been quality for QPR. But I'll put it in a video. And I will try and put some videos up. We will of back in the day and stuff like that of QPR's days, Stambols and stuff like that. So yeah. But let's finish off with the last comments. I met the Clive Wilson, Andy Sinton, Peacock Ferdinand team. 4-1 result. Warnock was brilliant for us. He gave us a trap. Visalia was class. He said. Wham said, "Oh my god, yes, Bazaki, the white Pele." Foley says Tarap was with us before Warnock. That was the 4-year plan season. Yeah, Tarap was with us on loan a lot of time, but he was very a couple of managers didn't like him. So yeah. Mackie is still my favourite QPR player of all time. Wham says the good times are coming back. DB Julian is building. Yeah, I can agree with that. Julian, listen, I like Julian. I was a bit unsure of him when he came in, but I think he has been brilliant for us. He has. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and mock him because he's one hell of a manager for us. So yeah. Foley says Roy Wiggerly, one was my favourite. I'll be honest, my favourite managers for QPR right now, I would say that we've had that I really enjoyed tactically. So the first one was probably Ian Holloway. For starters, Ian Holloway has always been up there. I think after that, Di Canio, Robert Di Canio, I don't think anyone really knew about him, but Di Canio was a crazy manager. You know, he brought us the passing game. He did. Di Canio did. Who else was there? Paulo Sousa. I don't know if anyone remembers when he threw his shirt in the crowd of the first game. I actually caught that shirt. So yeah, Paulo Sousa was one hell of a manager. Brought us some brilliant talent in to help us, but unfortunately, when you have owners that don't want to spend money, unfortunately, sometimes it ends in a harsh way. Other managers, Jim Magilton, another great manager. I thought him and his assistant were the Clough and Taylor of our generation. I thought, and we did really well until something happened with Bazaki. So yeah, I think who else? Warnock, obviously, 100%. Warnock. Who else was there? Warnock. I think since then that was it really, and then yeah. So I think Warnock was the last one, and then didn't like Mark Hughes, Harry Redknapp, Paul Hart. I'm not gonna even bring up the free. Was he there for 2 weeks or something like that? That was ridiculous, honestly. Paul Hart, what the hell? But yeah, I think that's about it really. I can't think of any other manager. Oh yeah, there was Hasselbank. Hasselbank was shit. There was Ramsey was alright. I liked Ramsey. He did alright. At the end of that. So yeah. But yeah. We could sack Will Still. He under pressure at Southampton. Will Still. True. Very true. Would love to do that. Folier. Jim Major attack Bazaki, Hasselbank, yeah. Charlie, let's just talk Charlie Austin about that one. So yeah. But yeah, alright, cool. Match ratings, let's just get on to match ratings, because we've gone a bit too far. So Nardi got a 4.7, Dunn 5.6, Morrison 5.2, Cook 4.9, Escudina 5.6. I'm a bit confused how he got better than the two centre backs for QPR. Hayden 7.4, Madsen had his lowest rate in the season, 6.5, Vale 6.2, Coney 6.7, Chair 7.1, obviously the assist, and Burrell for 7.1 because of the goal. So yeah, Warburton was decent. I keep forgetting about Warburton. But yeah, we're gonna end it there. A lot of conversation there for 40 minutes. Jeez. I can't remember the last preview show that we did that lasted that long. But you lot have been brilliant tonight, honestly. Sometimes this is like therapy as well. So yeah. If you enjoyed the live stream, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to, and we will be live maybe tomorrow actually for our yeah, possibly tomorrow for our preview show against Southampton. So yeah, stay tuned for that for tomorrow, and yeah, we'll catch you in a bit. And we'll go from there. Hopefully you all have a good weekend. Back to work tomorrow for most of you. For me, I got another week off, so yeah. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you either tomorrow or Wednesday. Cheers, everyone. Shouts to everyone in the chat tonight. Cool.